Welcome to another lesson about Bluefort's license and subscription app, embedded in Microsoft Dynamics 365 for finance and supply chain, otherwise known as Finance and Operations apps. In this lesson, we shall discuss how the license and subscription app of Bluefort integrates with the project and accounting module of Dynamics. So the first common question which is asked is whether it is mandatory to use this module or to configure this module in conjunction with license and subscription app, and the answer is no. So what I'm going to show in this lesson is totally optional. You only implement it and configure it if you actually need it. So if you don't need the integration with this standard project module, the answer is no, we don't depend on it or need to use it for successful deployment of the app. However, if you do use the projects module and you would like to see how we currently integrate with it, then this lesson is of interest for you and please keep on watching. So I'll dive right into the application. I'll go to the project management and accounting module, project, all projects. I'll open up this project I have here for Contoso Limited, and I will go to the plan tab and work breakdown structure, and here I have a deploy software licensing task in my WBS. So I'll edit this work breakdown structure, move to the deploy software licenses and click on details. And here I see that I already have an our transaction type to acquire the licenses and deploy to customer tenant. So what I'll do now, I'll add the items for my product, subscription product. So this is the item, project category will be licenses linked to this project, and I will use a particular product, which is that one, and I can set my start date and end date. Now let's see what happens if I'll try to exit the screen. As we saw in previous lessons, there's the validations inbuilt here that we must have a minimum of 20 for this product. So I close this warning message down and I put in a quantity of 20. I click OK, and there it lets me exit the screen. What I'll also do is I'll create another item transaction, and now for another type of subscription product. So let us assume that the customer is also signing up for a support plan, a monthly support plan, and there we can also edit to our details in the work breakdown structure. So there is a slight difference between these two products. As you can imagine, these are licensed, this is a licensed product, and if I go to the browse the product itself, I can see that this is a standard subscription type classification, so this will create a standard subscription, while if I browse to the support plan, this is has a project classification. And the reason we do this differentiation is because in most typical scenarios the licenses will need to continue to be billed to the customer beyond the end of the project. So the license we created as a standard classification, while the support maybe ends in some scenarios when the project ends, or maybe it doesn't. But in this case, we're assuming that this subscription is only this subscription product is only applicable for as long as the project remains active, and this will generate a subscription plan of type project, which means that the invoicing for this product will need to be done from the standard project invoice proposals functionality of Dynamics, while the invoicing of the license will be done using the standard license and subscription app functionality by firming an action and actually posting it. So let's click out of here, let's publish this, and let us exit that screen. So what you can see here from the screen is that we have a transfer from work breakdown structure into the license and subscription app via this new button group here. So in this case, if I go to the project and set it to in progress and click yes, I will get a warning. It will still change the stage, which is simply a warning message saying that, hey, you have work breakdown structure lines of type item that have not been transferred to subscription management. It is recommended to transfer the line item from WBS to subscription management before proceeding. So in that case, I'll go back to the plan tab and I'll go to the transfer from WBS, and here I can see the two subscription products which are in across all my WBS records. Okay, and in the case that I have already created some subscription plans based on these items, these will be displayed at the bottom of the screen here. And there's also a parameter in the license and subscription app parameters which actually stops you from creating the same items twice, if there's already a related subscription plan, of course. So let's go ahead and select these two subscription products and click OK. So we've got this message here. Okay, yes, this makes sense. So this means that actually, like I just said a few minutes ago in this lesson, this action will actually generate two plans. One plan will be for the license subscription product, which has a classification of standard, and another plan will be for the support agreement, which is a classification of project. So let's go ahead and click yes, and there we see our messages that there was successful. So now we will browse to the subscription management module, subscription management cockpit, and then we can filter on our customer Contoso Limited. And there, as you can see at the bottom of this grid, it created two plans. One, like I just said, is a standard plan containing the license product. So it's a standard plan. It will continue to be billed forever until it is cancelled, while the support subscription is linked actually to a project. It's classified as a project, which means that the invoicing for this plan will happen using the project module functionality of invoice proposals. It's also noteworthy to see that there's the project ID stamped here, because we created this plan for a project, and that the classification is of type project, while for the other one the classification is standard, but it is still linked to a project, even though the classification is standard, because this is to have traceability to see from where this plan was created. What's also noteworthy, of course, is that even though the classification So apologies, when the classification is project, even though you unpublish, you can't create new lines. So any new lines for subscription plans which are classified as project need to be created from the project itself, not from the cockpit. So I'll republish this, while the standard one, if we unpublish it, even though it's linked to a project, since it's standard, then we can create new plan lines as we would for any other subscription plan. So let's go ahead and run the master process. And here we see that some actions were generated for this subscription, and actually it seems that my test date is set very well far off into the future. So in this case it generated actions up till 30th September 2021, but of course in a production environment this won't happen because it is not supported to use the testing date in a production environment. What is noteworthy, however, here is the action type, and there you can see that since the classification of the project of the plan, apologies, is project, then the action type here is generate project sales order. So if I firm a particular action, this will still work. So I'm billing 1000 euros worth of support for this month. So now this action is firmed. However, this action, since it is a project sales order, I'm not allowed to post it, and this is in line with the standard philosophy that you are not allowed to invoice project sales orders from other modules, but they have to be captured as part of the project. For the standard classification, even though they are linked to a project, like we said, we are allowed to firm and post. So again, here you can see that it generated actions for a year in advance, but that's because we have the functionality of the testing date for the master process being activated into the future. It's a very useful function that in order to test these processes with a forward date while not having to change the session date of the system, which affects other users. So here we can see that it also created the purchase order actions because this is a software license that you purchase from a vendor, and the action type in this case is not project. So this is a very important concept here. So even though we are linked to a project, since the classification is standard, the action type is not project, it's a standard sales order invoice. So I can go ahead and firm the action, and here I can go ahead and post. And like I said, for the posting of the firmed project sales order transactions, you would do that using the standard process of invoice proposals. I won't be showing that process here, but there is another video, another lesson about entitlements, which I do recommend you watch, and part of the entitlements lesson would be about project entitlements in the license and subscription app. So there you will see how to configure an invoice proposal in the standard product, and also how we've extended that to have customer entitlements inbuilt into your proposals to make invoicing, project invoicing linked to subscriptions more efficient. So stay tuned for more lessons about Blueforce license and subscription app, and if you have any questions or any feedback, please do not hesitate to get in touch. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson.